Got it. So let me quickly share my screen. So yesterday we have discussed about installation of all the supporting softwares that are required for SailPoint IAQ. As a part of that, like we have installed our Tomcat Apache Tomcat server and we have verified our installation, and we have also installed our database. And for database, we also need like a MySQL Workbench, which is a supporting software, and we have also verified the connectivity to the database. And in today's session, let's install SailPoint IIQ, and we'll be installing the base version and we'll be applying the patch, and along with that, we'll be establishing the connectivity between the web component and database component, like once we have installed them individually. Okay, so let's go one by one. So first we'll install the base version of 8.2, and that too will install the web component. In order to do that, let's go to our installers. So we have downloaded our IdentityIQ 8.2 installer, like which is an zip file. So once we extract the zip, so this is how it looks. So once we extract the zip, like we'll have some documentation and all, and we'll be having the var file, which is the IdentityIQ var. So as we discussed previously, var stands for web archive, which is nothing but a compressed format of the web application. And basically this web application contains set of files and folders. So those files and folders are put together in a compressed format, which is nothing but the var file. Now we have to unvar this file. Okay, there are two ways. Like basically we have to extract the contents of this var file, and there are basically two ways to do that. So the first way is by using a command. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll copy this var file and I'll go to the directory where Apache Tomcat is installed. Okay, so go to program files, Apache Software Foundation, Tomcat 9.0, and after going to this Tomcat home folder, this path is nothing but the Tomcat home path up to Tomcat 9.0. Okay, so after going here, we need to go inside web app application, and inside web apps, we will see folders like this: docs, manager, root, and all. What we'll do is we will create one another folder, which is nothing but Identity IQ. So make sure that the name is same like this, Identity IQ, without any typos, and everything is in lowercase. And inside this Identity IQ folder, like put your uh, var file. And before putting the var file, like make sure that your Apache Tomcat is stopped. Okay, I have opened my services, Windows services. Once I open my Windows services, like this is how it looks. Okay, so I'll go here, Apache Tomcat, like it is already stopped. So we are good. So I'll go here to my installation directory. So inside this Tomcat, I have created this Identity IQ folder, and I'll put my contents here. So I'm basically copying the var file there. Okay. So after putting the var file, I need to access this path via command prompt. So the very same path, including that IdentityIQ folder, I have accessed it via command prompt. And after accessing this path via command prompt, I need to give a command called tar space hyphen xvf. So this command is basically for extracting the contents of war file. So I'm giving like tar space hyphen xvf followed by the file name identityiq.war. So after giving that, I'll simply hit enter. So now it starts extracting the contents of this war file. So now it extracted all the contents of this war file. So once this is done, if we go here and if we look at the folder that we have created, like which is our identity IQ, there are so many files extracted here. So once we go to this web apps, this is how it looks. And if we open identity IQ, like previously, we have just pasted this var file here. And now we have a lot of content along with the var file. So this is how we basically extract the contents. Okay. So after extracting the contents, we can remove this var file. We can delete it. It's no longer required because it's a zip one. We have extracted the contents and we no longer need that. Okay. So once this is done, the first step is completed. So for SailPoint version 8.2, we have extracted the web contents into our Tomcat folder. So we are good with this part. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is one way of extracting the contents. So creating the folder, putting the var file inside this and running the command. The other way is you can simply copy the identity IQ var file and paste it here. So you need not to create the identity IQ folder. Wherever we have this docs, manager and root, in the very same place, you can put your identity IQ var file. And after placing the identity IQ var file, you can go here and you can simply start Apache Tomcat. And once it's started, like you can simply stop it again. So what happens is, whatever may be the var files that we place inside web apps folder, once Apache Tomcat starts running, it automatically extract the contents of those war files. Okay, similar way, like if we put our identity IQ war file here, and if we start Apache Tomcat, without running the command, it automatically creates a folder called identity IQ and it extracts all the contents inside the folder. Okay, so that is one another way to do it. But the reason why I have not done that is here, this identity IQ is not a single application. It's an integral one. So we need the web components and we need the database components. We only have web component as of now. So without having web component, without having the database component, if I run it, it tries to establish a connection. So let not happen that. So that's why I have not done that. Okay, so now let's go with the second step. So which is nothing but creation of this IAQ database instance. Okay. So in order to create this database instance, like first we launch the MySQL workbench. So let me close it and I'll do it one more time. So I'll go to Windows search and I'll say MySQL workbench. So after opening MySQL workbench, like I'm establishing my connectivity, I'm using the root as a password. Okay. So once I have the connectivity established, so this is how basically the database looks. Okay, if you hit under administration, this is how it looks. And if you go to schemas, So you will only find a schema for sys, like which is the default database. Okay. So now we are going to create database for our SailPoint IAQ. So let us do that. So in order to do that, let's go back to the very same folder where we have our identity IQ war file. This is nothing but the extraction of our 8.2 zip folder. So here we have a folder called database. So inside this database folder, if you see, there are some database scripts. And among them, we are mostly concerned about creation because we need to create the database. Okay. So basically, we have script for 4 different types of database. So which is DB2, like if we have an IBM database, like this is the script file we need to use. So one is for MySQL, one is for Oracle, and the other one is Microsoft SQL Server file. So among the 4, the database that we are using is MySQL. So we have to go to this MySQL file and we need to select the script for creation of identity IQ tables. So here it says create identity IQ tables 8.2. So let us open this in Notepad++. Okay. So this is the script basically. So if you are someone who is very familiar with the database and if you understand the DB scripts and all, so if you carefully observe, this script is nothing but set of commands for creating database. You can see they're creating a database by name Identity IQ, and they're also setting up the usernames and passwords here, and they're also granting the permissions here. You can see they're granting privileges, and here they're trying to create some other users databases, and they're trying to create some tables and establishing the relationship between the tables. So this is what basically happening in the script. It's nothing but set of commands for creating database, giving permissions, and also creating some tables. Okay, so this is what will happen once we run the script. Okay, so as of now, we are going with the default table names and default usernames. Suppose like you have a requirement where you need to customize your database table names and customize your usernames and all, then before running the script itself, you need to modify this. For example, if you observe this part of the script, it says like create a user if not exists and the username is identity IQ. For example, if you don't want the username to be like identity IQ and you wanted something else, then you can change the script here itself. And they are also saying identified with MySQL native password by identity IQ. It means like for the username they're creating, they're providing the password as identity IQ itself. Let's say you want to change the password, you can do it here. But if you are good with this SQL script and all, you can do it on your own. Otherwise, you can take help from your database team and you can ask them to change the usernames and passwords as per your requirement. Or if you are good with the defaults, then we are good. Like there is no need to change anything. So once we have this script file for our database, copy the contents of this file, go to MySQL Workbench, and in the query sheet, paste the script. Okay. So paste the script and go to top of this page. Whenever you're executing any script, the control must be taken to the top of the page so that wherever the control is there, the script execution will start from that point itself. Let's say like if you have put the control somewhere here or anywhere else, and if you try to run the script, the control will start executing the script from there, like which is not the correct way to do it. So always make sure that you are taking your control to top of the script page before running the script. Okay. So once we have this script placed in our MySQL workbench, so you can see there is a thunder icon on top of this. You can simply click this thunder icon, which basically starts executing your query and it starts creating your database schemas and tables. So the schema execution may take some time. Let's wait for it to complete so that we can verify. changes. So the script execution is completed. And once we refresh this part here under the schemas, if you select schemas here, and if you go and refresh, you can see previously only sys was there, and now we have two databases. So one is called IdentityIQ database, and another one is IdentityIQ plugin database. So IdentityIQ database is the major one. So this is nothing but the database instance that we have created. So here, whatever may be the representation we are showing as SailPoint IIQ database instance, it's nothing but this IdentityIQ database schema that we have created. And if you expand the schema, you will see a lot of tables. The SailPoint is going to connect to these tables, and it is going to perform write operations, everything on this table itself. Okay. So with this, we have also created our database instance. And now the next part is to establish a communication channel between our SailPoint IIQ web component and the SailPoint IIQ database instance. So in real-time scenarios, what happens is we will not be installing our Apache Tomcat and the database on the same server. We'll install Apache Tomcat on a different server, and we'll also install our database instance on a different server. So once that is done, like we need to establish a communication between these two servers. Okay. So let's see like how we can do that. In order to do that, like we again need to go to the Tomcat installation directory. So we go to Apache Tomcat in the software foundation folder, Tomcat 9.2, and inside that we'll go to web apps, and inside web apps, Identity IQ. So follow the path. This is important from here. So we'll go to Identity IQ, and inside Identity IQ, we'll go to Web INF. And inside Web INF, we'll go to classes. Okay. So this is the path. Inside the classes, we have something called IAQ properties file. Okay. So this IAQ properties file is the key file which acts as an communication channel between our SailPoint web component and database component. So this IAQ properties file basically contains all the configurations related to our database connectivity. Okay. If you observe here, it is for MySQL or Aurora without SSL. Okay. By default, it has some database connection details. For example, it is saying the host as localhost and the database name as IdentityIQ, and it is also setting the password and username. If you observe here, it is saying the username as IdentityIQ, and this is the password, which is nothing but the same IdentityIQ, but in an encrypted format. So if you give any data, SailPoint by default uses its default encryption and saves all the password in an encrypted form only. Okay. So in a similar way, SailPoint has encrypted our database password and stored it. And all these details are already present because these are SailPoint default. So in the script we have run, right? Even if you observe, the name is username and the password is same and the host is localhost. Okay. So until or unless you have made any changes either to the username or database, or you have a different host name or IP address that you need to modify, or by default, this MySQL server runs on port number 3306. If you have any other port number configured, then you have to modify your database connection details here. So as long as you're installing your database server on the same host and you also don't have any changes in the connection, then you need not to touch the file. But this is important to know. This IAQ properties is the file like where you will configure your database details. For example, you are not using MySQL and you are using Oracle database. So in that case, you will comment out these lines and you will uncomment the lines that are used for connecting to Oracle database. And again, you will configure your host name, your port number, your database instance name, everything as per your connection details. You can see this is the sample URL they have provided about like how we need to put the connection details. So according to the database that we are using and our connection details, will make our connections. Got it? So once you have your IAQ properties file updated with your database connection details, then we are good to start our Apache Tomcat. Okay. So now it's time for verification. So whatever the changes we have done, let's verify as of now. So we have created the web component and we have created the database component and we have established a connectivity in between these two. So once this is done, we are good to start our Apache Tomcat server. So now let's go to our services, select Apache Tomcat and hit start. So after starting Apache Tomcat, first we will verify whether Apache Tomcat is running or not. So in order to verify that, like we have done previously, we have tried to access Apache Tomcat homepage. So HTTP localhost 8080. Once Tomcat is up, it will take us to the Tomcat homepage. So it takes a while for the Tomcat to come up. So let's wait for that. In meantime, like if you have any queries, like you can go ahead. Okay. So now we have our Apache Tomcat homepage coming up. It means Apache Tomcat is up. Now, once this Apache Tomcat is up, we need to access our SailPoint IAQ. Okay, in order to access SailPoint IAQ homepage, so to the very same URL, give a forward slash and say identity IQ. So this identity IQ is nothing but the folder name that we have provided. So simply give identity IQ forward slash and hit enter. So it automatically takes us to the home page of our SailPoint IAQ. So once you see this page, then we can confirm that we have successfully installed Apache Tomcat version 8.2. Okay, so this is one way of verification whether our Apache Tomcat is installed or not. Okay, so remember, as of now, like we have installed only the base version, which is 8.2. We also need to install the patch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down my Apache Tomcat again. So I'm going to stop this. So before starting the Apache Tomcat, so there is one another way for verifying our SailPoint IAQ, whether it is installed or not. So the other way is from the command prompt. We can go to this identity IQ folder path from command prompt, and from identity IQ, we can access web apps, and inside web apps, we can say ping web apps, web INF. Let's see. Web INF. and after webinf, yeah, it's going to be bin. Okay, let me open bin as well. Okay, so we basically need to navigate to this particular path, identity IQ, webinf, and bin. After coming to bin, we'll need to execute one another command called IAQ space console. So give this command and simply execute. It will take us to one another command prompt, and we can verify our installed version of SailPoint here. Okay, so after executing this IAQ console command, if you see this greater than I symbol, it means our IAQ console is launched. So once you have this IAQ console launched, simply type about. Once you give the about command and hit enter, it will give you all the information about the current version of SailPoint that is installed. You can see the current version installed is 8.2, system version 8.2, schema version 8.2, everything is 8.2. So this is one another way of checking whether your SailPoint IAQ application is working fine or not, at least whether it is installed fine or not. And we can also check what is the current version of SailPoint that is installed on your system. Okay. So from now we are good. Like we have verified installation of Apache Tomcat through the command prompt and also through the UI part. Okay. So well and good, like we have installed 8.2. Let's go to the patch. Okay, now we are going to apply patch. So before applying the patch, make sure that this Apache Tomcat is stopped. Okay. So once Apache Tomcat is stopped, let's go to our folder where we have the installers. Okay. So within installers, we have this jar file for patching. So the jar file name will be something like this, identity IQ 8.2 P4. So whatever maybe the patch version number is, be it P4, P6, P1, the process is going to remain same. Okay. Let's see how we can do that. So before going to add the patches, first we need to create a folder. So here I have created a folder called patch, and inside the patch folder, copy this identity IQ. Okay, space on the disk. So I have already extracted the contents, but for your information, like before installing the patch, like first create a folder, like give any name to the folder. So I have given the folder name as patch, and paste your jar file identityaq 8.2 p4 jar file inside this folder and access it via command prompt. Access it via command prompt and give the same command tar space hyphen xvf followed by the file name identityIQ 8.2 p4 dot jar. So the file name will be something like this. So give this command tar space hyphen xvf, give this file name and hit enter. Like make sure that you have placed the jar file inside this folder before executing this command. So once you have done this and once you execute this command, it will extract all the contents of the jar file into this folder like this. Okay, so this way, first we have to extract the contents of our jar file. Okay. So once we have extracted, like we need to take this and we'll need to put it inside our identity IQ folder. So let me copy all the contents here. Select everything. I have copied it. And now I'm going to the folder where we have our Tomcat installed, Apache Tomcat 9.0 web apps. Inside the web apps, I'm going inside Identity IQ, and inside Identity IQ folder, I'm going to paste all the folders and files that I have copied for the patch. So I'm going to hit Control V. So it is basically copying those files. So during this process, sometimes we will encounter a situation where it will ask us to replace some files. So whenever you will get a prompt to replace the files, always replace it, because as a part of patching, it adds new files and it also replaces the existing files. It means like it modifies the existing files. So when it is modifying, like we obviously have to replace the files. So it's done. So now we have all the files placed here. So this is nothing but patching our web component. So once we put the files and folders in the IdentityIQ folder, it means like the patching is done for web component. Like we also need to do the patching for database instance as well. So in order to do that, so let's go to the very same folder, like inside IdentityIQ. Let's go to web INF. So in web INF, we have something called database. So in the database, if you observe, there is a set of files called upgrade. Okay. And this file says 8.2 P4. So previously when we created, the creation says like create identity IQ tables 8.2 only, but here it says P4. Okay. So in the same way that we have done, like select your database file, it is MySQL. So for MySQL, like I need to upgrade and make sure that you are selecting the upgrade file of 8.2 P4 only. Okay, it must be like 8.2 P4, not anything else. So open this in a text editor and copy the contents and go to our MySQL workbench, and if possible, create a new sheet and paste your contents here and go to top of the page. Here for patching, we don't have uh, much commands. Okay, so we only have a single command, like which is saying like, to use identity IQ, and which is saying to use, I mean, which is basically updating an schema number. So it's very simple. So we can put our control here and say execute, and you can see it updated. Okay. So this basically confirms that our patching is completed for database component. And here we need not to do anything with respect to the connectivity. It's already there, so it's not going to change. So from here, we can confirm that our patching P4 is done for our SailPoint IIQ. So before starting our Apache Tomcat, let's go to this very same IIQ console and let's hit abort command one more time. Okay. So now if we hit abort command, it is basically saying, okay, so I missed it. So soon after completing this one, so soon after adding the patches to our web component and database component, so we need to run one command. Okay. So we need to run it via our command prompt itself. So let's go here, web inf bin. I need to go to this particular folder called bin. And after going to bin folder, we need to execute one command called IAQ patch followed by the version number. So the version we have is 8.2 P4. Okay, remember this command, like we need to go to this particular path and give a command called IAQ space patch space 8.2 P4. So let's hit enter. So you can see it is executing some operations in the background and it is performing the patching operation. It is saying patch P4 applied successfully. So we need to see this success message. So once we see the success message, like we can confirm our patching activity is completed, and let's verify our patching. So now I'm going to give the same command IAQ console here. So once we get the greater than icon here, once we get the greater than icon, then we can again hit about command. So I'm going to hit enter. And after hitting the about command now, you can see it is saying the version number as 8.2 P4. And even if we go here, the connector version, whatever we check, it must say P4 along with 8.2. So once we can see this number, it's a confirmation from here that the patch is applied successfully. Okay. So after applying the patch, we need to run one command called import init.xml. So this import init.xml command is basically used to load some of the default configurations, and if we'll be having a lot of out of the box features and functionalities, right, which comes with our product installation only. So we are basically loading all those configurations. So in order to do that, we are going to run this import init.xml command from this IAQ console. Like, you need to see this greater than symbol, and after that you have to put import space init.xml and hit enter. You can see it is like loading lot of files and all. Okay. So this execution is completed. We are good with this step as well. So once this step is completed, we are good to start our Apache Tomcat. Whenever we are performing any database related activity, like whenever we are running any database commands, or whenever we are making any file modifications inside Identity IQ folder, every time we have to make sure that we are stopping Apache Tomcat. Okay. Because like it will not hamper any of the existing files, or it will not basically like corrupt any files. Okay. So now we are good to start Apache Tomcat. Let me start it. Okay. And again, same thing. Let's go to our browser. And if I reload this, it will not come up because previously Tomcat is down. Now let's see. Okay. Now it loaded. And after loading, if you see, the version here still says 8.2 only, because in the home page, in the login page of SailPoint IAQ, it always shows base version only. It will not show the patch version. So that's why we'll see version as 8.2 only here. Okay, so this is absolutely fine. And we are able to see the login page of our SailPoint IAQ. It means we are good with installation of our SailPoint IAQ. Now, let's log into SailPoint and see how the user interface looks. And let's also verify the version of SailPoint IAQ after logging into this. So in order to log in, I'm going to use some default credentials. So these default credentials are same everywhere. Even if you install your SailPoint IAQ, you can use the same credentials. Okay. The username is spAdmin, everything in lowercase. The username is spAdmin ADMIN. And the password is also same. It's ADMIN admin, everything in lowercase. So this is the password, ADMIN, everything in lowercase. So once you have given your username and password, simply hit login. So once you hit login, it will takes you to the home page of our SailPoint IAQ. So this is how basically SailPoint IAQ looks once you log into it. Okay. So we have only seen the base version of SailPoint IAQ. It is saying 8.2 only. We need to verify from user interface UI whether we can like check the patch or not. So in order to do that, so we need to go to something called debug page. Okay, so this is the home page of our SailPoint IAQ. And from home page, we need to go to some other place called debug page. In order to access the debug page, in the URL, after identity IQ slash, remove the rest of the contents, like remove that home.jsf and simply type in debug. Okay, so the URL will look something like this: localhost 8080 slash identity IQ slash debug. So hit enter. So once you hit enter, it will take you to something like this, which says object browser. So this is nothing but our debug page. So once you are in debug page, you'll see a wrench icon on the right top corner. Just click on this wrench icon drop down and just say about. So if you hit about, then through UI, you will see the version of SailPoint along with the patch. And even in the connected bundle also, you will see the version of SailPoint. We are seeing like both the base version and the patch version as well. Okay. And this about page not just says about your SailPoint version, but it would also say the path in which your Apache Tomcat is installed. For example, in my server or in the place like where I have installed Apache Tomcat, you can see this is the path. Every time we are navigating through this path, right, for accessing files and do modifications. So this is the path. Suppose like you are working in real time and you are able to log into your SailPoint IIQ application, but inside the server, you don't know where this installation is done, like what is the path of installation. So in that case, you can go to this debug page and you can go to about, and you can see the application home, which says basically the path on the server where we have this identity IQ installed. Okay, so similarly, you will see uh, your Java path as well. You will see the path like where we have the Java installed. Okay, and system paths, everything will be seen here. All the like high level configurations will be seen here. Okay, and it is important to know about this about page because so whenever you go to SailPoint for seeking any support with respect to your installation, so the first thing SailPoint asks is to give a copy of this about page. So either we'll take screenshots or we'll print the page and we'll provide, because like this page will contains everything about your infra. It contains like which server you are using, okay, and which version of SailPoint you are using, which version of patching you are using, which version of Apache Tomcat you are using, or like which version of Java you are using. It will show everything. So based on that, they will try to replicate the scenario and they'll try to troubleshoot the issue. So this is important to know, like to get yourself familiar with the environment, or at least to provide such information to SailPoint whenever required. Okay. So this is all about our SailPoint IIQ installation, and we also have default credentials. So do you guys have any doubts or any queries as of now throughout this complete installation process?
Um, so if you're running on a server, then of course you cannot bring your services down. Like so, in this case, you have to do like a phase approach, right? Where you bring one of the node down, bring the second one up,
Mhm.
upgrade the second one, and then bring back the other one, right?
No, that should not be the case. Okay, so we have not yet touched the concept where we'll be using multiple servers for redundancy purpose, but like as you have asked this question, I'll show the high level view. For example, let's imagine this way. We have two servers. for redundancy purpose, like we have put two servers, we have our Apache Tomcat, we have our SailPoint web component installed in both the instances. So what we basically do is we will not access the individual instances. That's a general thing. So we will connect them to a load balancer and we'll use the load balancing URL. So once we have this load balancing URL, like if you hit the URL, you don't know whether the request will go to server 1 or server 2. Okay, so this is one case. And the second scenario is like no matter how many servers you have, like be it 2, 4, 10, 12, no matter how many servers you have established parallelly, everything will connect to same database at the end of the day. Okay, suppose we are doing the approach you suggested. So we will put one server down and we'll do patching in another server. Okay, so you are doing patching in one server, and once you are doing this, whenever there is any activity happening, okay, so that may impact your database, because when you are doing the patching must be done on both your web component and database component. Here I have done the patching, and I'll run it, and by the time I am done completing this patching, your other node will be on the previous version only. And if at all any communication happens, then it will cause an issue. Okay, so the best practice is we will take a downtime, definitely, for sure. Whenever you are doing any installation, upgrades, patching, anything, we will take a downtime and we'll take all our servers down at a time. Okay, so if you have two nodes, you will bring down all the two nodes. If you have four, you will bring down all the four nodes, apply patching on the web component, apply complete patching on the database component also, and then we'll bring everything up in one go. So that is basically how we perform the activities. Okay. So on this upgrade and installations are so crucial that we obviously need our downtime. So without downtime, we cannot do that.
Okay,
I
that
hope
makes
I
sense.
answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for confirming. So, like before going ahead with our next topics, so let's get introduced to few concepts. Okay. So now that like we have installed like the base versions, patch versions, and we know how to verify it, everything. So let us understand what is this IAQ console is. IAQ console. So whenever we take any system, it basically gives us two approaches in order to interact with it. So one approach is a graphical user interface approach, and another one is command line interface approach. Okay. So let's take our operating system itself. So we have a graphical user interface, like where we are able to see all the icons and access those, and we are like doing some activities. Similarly, we have a command line interface, which is nothing but our command prompt. And bottom may be the activity that we'll do using our graphical user interface. We can do the same thing using our command line interface as well. Let's say creating a folder, like creating a file, copying a file, editing a file, anything we can do through our command prompt as well. So it is a way of interacting with the system, which is more fast and what I can say, can efficient. Okay. So similarly, our SailPoint IAQ also, our SailPoint IAQ also have two user interface, the graphical user interface, like which is through browser. So we log into the browser and we are able to see the home keys, menus, everything, right? So this is one way to actually interact with the application. And the other way, which is a command line interface, SailPoint is also providing us with a command line interface. This command line interface is nothing but IAQ console. Okay. So using this IAQ console, like we can execute some commands, we can see data, like we can extract files, we can import files, we can export files, we can do all of these activities using this IAQ console. Okay. So now we know like what is this IAQ console is, and we also know how to access it. So going forward slowly, we'll see some of the IAQ console commands, and we'll start using that. Okay. So this is one thing. And one another point with IAQ console is if we observe the infra, so we will be able to interact via our browser if and only if our Apache Tomcat is up and running. Okay, so this Tomcat server, so that is the main purpose, right? So it basically exposes the functionality as a web application server. So we can access the application via browser. So that is done through this Apache Tomcat server. So if Apache Tomcat server is down, you cannot interact with our SailPoint application using graphical user interface. Okay, but even though this Apache Tomcat is down, we can interact with our SailPoint IAQ application using this IAQ console. It means this IAQ console, whatever may be the command line interface that we are talking, it directly communicates with the database. As long as your database is up, you can always interact with your SailPoint IAQ application using this IAQ console. Okay. For example, like you have not started your Tomcat server and you want to verify something about your SailPoint, then you can use this IAQ console. Okay, just to give a clear picture about this, like how the infra is. So even though you have your Apache Tomcat server down, as long as the database is up, we can use our IAQ console to interact with it. Okay. So this is about IAQ console, and at least you know like what is this IAQ console and in what situations we can use it. Okay. So I will stop our session here today, and in tomorrow's session, we will discuss something called SailPoint IAQ additional components. Okay. So it's nothing but whenever we install our SailPoint IAQ, it comes up with some core product features. Okay. So along with these core product features, it is also provide us some add-ons which we can implement on demand basis. For example, if our current implementation need that add-on, if we have any requirement of such functionality, we can use that, and we can basically add that add-on component to our SailPoint IAQ core version, and we can use it. And for these add-ons, the costing will be separate. So SailPoint will charge separate like cost through license for these additional components. Okay. In our next session, we will see what are the additional software components that are available in SailPoint, and among them, we will add one software component for our core product that we have installed so far. So as of now, like we have 8.2 P4. On top of 8.2 P4, we will be adding one of the SailPoint additional components. Okay, so in next session, we'll see what are the additional components that are available in SailPoint, and we'll also discuss about the additional component that we are going to add, like what it is going to do, and we'll also see what is the process to do that. Okay, so we'll see that in our next session. And for today, like we have 4 more minutes left, and I'll use this time for clarifying the doubts if you have any. So I'll be here on this call, like think through, and if you have any doubts, like please ask me.
I'm good on my side.
Thank you. And before signing off for the day, like I have provided access to all three of you to an Google Drive. So that Google Drive basically contains all our installers. So right from our Java to the Tomcat, MySQL database, what else? Like we have our SailPoint IAQ and the patch, everything is there. Along with that, I have provided you some files, which are the supporting files we are going to use for our lab purpose going forward. So I hope all of you have access to that.
Yeah, we got access.
Okay. Thanks for confirming. Like, please get started with your lab. Like, go ahead with your installations and set up your own lab and let me know like if you face any issues during your lab setup. Okay. Okay then. I'm good for today. Thank you so much for joining.
All right. Thank you.